Hey everybody, Corey here again. Today for Let's Take One Apart, we have a Boss CH-1 Super Chorus that came to us this week. The pedal, and I confirmed what they said, it feels a little weak. It's like it's not stretching quite as far as it should. You know, these can get a little wild when you really crank them, and this pedal's just not. They were concerned that someone had maybe messed with the 9-volt jack in there before, so I'm assuming we're going to get in here and find out that someone's maybe tried to mod something or it's been repaired. That's always a nightmare with these pedals because you never know for sure what they've tried to do. You've always got to pull schematics and try to figure it out. With this one, you know, we'll see what we find when we get in, but I thought that maybe it would be a fun repair day if we just checked out the inside of this Boss. First, I want to see real quick, we're going to undo the thumb screw. I'm going to see if it's got a 9-volt in it. Or if it needs to run through a power supply. I tried it out earlier and they're right. I just figured for the sake of doing this, we'd open it up and take a look. No 9-volt, but battery connector looks good, feels solid. Switch feels like it should. Those are pretty gentle switches. So that's the easy part. They need a new grommet, and I don't know if I have any more Boss grommets. I'm going to check here in a few. Usually I have a few of those around because they're notorious for going bad. These, just to show you, the little grommet here, these tend to, what happens is they'll kind of dry rot and they'll break and then they'll fall out. They just get cracked and dry instead of staying soft and pliable like rubber is meant to be. So first and foremost, we're going to open this up. This is made in Taiwan. I don't know their convention for years. I need to learn that one of these days, you'd think. So, as with any other Boss pedal, there's only 4 screws holding the back on. We'll take those out and lay those down. Let's see what we're getting into. Best case scenario is a poorly soldered joint somewhere that might take care of it. That's what we're always hoping for. Alright, so let's peel this off, see what we get. Oh, wow. There's the little plastic sheet that keeps it from grounding out on the board. They all have one of these in them. But I can tell already there's been some funky soldering going on. There's some oxidation on the board. We're going to spray with this stuff I use. See if that'll just take it off. And there's a few connections here that just don't look good. So this could be our best case scenario. But it has definitely been messed with since it was new. Let me pull this board out and I'll show you up close. Or maybe you can see, hopefully. Right here is where the 9-volt supply goes into the board. There's a small mountain of solder there, more than there usually are. But you can tell lots of these joints have been messed with, so I'm assuming they've either replaced some capacitors or made a small mod. Once we get the board fully out of here, we'll have a better idea what they've done, but that is definitely not how it left the Boss factory. Coincidentally, from the top, it doesn't really look tampered with. It looks like maybe a capacitor or two was replaced, possibly these down here. It's hard to say for certain because these capacitors are easy to get anywhere. The exact same ones that Boss uses you can order from any electronic supply place. Some markings on the board. Here it says 0702. Chorus 1A main board assembly 752443P0R0. I always like looking for little goofy stuff on boards because quite often when people make these circuit boards, they tend to have a sense of humor. And they'll have messed with them a little bit. I've seen them with skulls and crossbones on them. I've seen pot leaves. I've seen cuss words. There's all kinds of neat stuff they'll do on these boards. In truth here, the top looks pretty unmolested, as does the jack board. The jacks look good. Connections on the switch, yeah, those look solid. That's what you're looking at more than anything. You want to see your connections, because a loose connection can have a big effect on one of these. You also want to make sure there's nothing burned out around any of your... Ooh. Whoa, that was close. You also want to make sure that the sockets around your chip are okay. So I take a little magnifying glass and really get down close where I can see that everything looks well connected, because that's, as you know, that's the easiest fix. And in many cases, that's what's wrong. And it's not necessarily from anything that happened at a factory, because the truth is these pedals are designed to get stomped. Everything's usually fastened well. What happens is someone will get inside and start messing with stuff that they don't know anything about, and you can have a variety of problems. The truth is, at least in appearance, everything looks pretty good. So I think what we're going to do first is we'll fire up the soldering iron and touch, I want to say there's 5 or 6 joints here that are questionable. So we will, actually, I think, yeah, I'm going to do that before I even clean it, because I want to get any flux that I happen to get on the board off of the board. But yeah, there's a few joints through here. I'm not so much worried about the 9-volt connector. It has been a little hot around there, and it's kind of melted. Maybe not melted, it could just be the glaze they put over them to protect it, but it looks a little shinier than most I've seen do. But we're gonna hit just these few joints here where the wire's sticking out real far. Most of the ones from the factory are smooth and the wire's cut off just almost flush. These here have a much longer wire sticking out, and it makes me think that they were changed. So we're just gonna, real quick here, we're gonna touch them with a dab of flux. Again, I use this dinky little watercolor paintbrush, and just get a little bit on there because you don't want much, and just kind of touch them. I just need a dab on there and mark hit all these ones that I know I'm gonna try and go over and kind of refresh with a little heat. And I think that's it. So now, kick the solder station on. I'm not going to crank it too hot. I'm going to be about 650 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on what you're working on. I also switched my solder tip from, I usually use a big chisel tip, but I'm switching to this little one that I like to use for pedals, because you want to make sure that you're not heating up a large area, where with an amp, a large area is fine. All right. So we've got that. We'll start over here on the left. We're going to do this at like 700 degrees, which is a little hotter than what we were, but I think it'll make it easier to reflow these joints. Yeah, there we go. That's that one there. That's much better. This one at 700, it takes them a little longer to heat up, especially with this tiny tip I've got here. but it keeps it from heating up the board. So it just takes a little more patience. Or a lot more patience. Okay, there we go on that one. Let's go over here, because this one's just a little questionable. Yeah, there we go. That one did good. Oh, that's reflowing beautifully now. Okay, this one's questionable. See how that one's doing. Oh, yeah, that one definitely just moved. Yeah. Actually, that one's possibly our culprit. I think that's hooking to the positive leg of one of those few caps I pointed out. Heat this up just a little more. I like it to stay good and as shiny as it can stay. Get this one. There we go. You know, when soldering, it's not just about throwing a blob on and making sure your stick's in the middle. You've got to use flux. And it's important to give your solder time to flow out. It needs to flow. And a lot of people don't let it sit long enough to flow. I mean, you want to be in and out as quick as you can. There we go. That one's flowing good now. It's definitely a better connection. Yeah, I think we're a lot better. All of these look, yeah, we had a few that looked really questionable when I started here. So let's take the magnifying glass back down. Yeah, that one looks good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I think we're much better. I'm gonna take this stuff. This is called Flux Wash. I get it. We have a place here in St. Louis called Gateway Electronics, and they have all kinds of just random electronic things you might need. And I picked this up there because it does a good job of, when you're working on old amps, a lot of times you'll get into one and find flux everywhere, where you can kind of take this, shoot it on there, and it'll dissolve the flux. Or you could do that, and I usually take a soft bristled toothbrush and use that kind of to help scrape it up a little, and then makes this work better. So what we're going to do is right through here, this board has been hot before, and it's got some oxidation on it, and there's some extra flux around things. So we're just going to shoot some little dabs of this. It doesn't really shoot well in little dabs, as I should have mentioned, but it dries up good. It works a lot like deoxit, but this essentially eats away flux and oxidation a little easier, I think. It just depends on what the need is. If I've got a loose jack that's corroded or something, I always use the deoxit. Or actually, instead of deoxit, usually I use this. You know, deoxit's like 20, 30 bucks a can. I can get this at O'Reilly's for about 7 or 8, and I find it does wonders on most things I'm working with, and it's essentially the same thing. I do keep a small can of deoxit around just for extra troubling situations, but for most things that works great. And the truth is, I'm not convinced they're not exactly the same thing. So all right, yeah, that cleaned up quite well. That got rid of some of that oxidation. It's not perfect, but it looks better than it did, as you can see. Cleans it up pretty good. So now, I guess what we'll do is we'll put the top on and test this sucker out, see how it sounds. Plastic back on. This plastic keeps any wires protruding from the bottom of your board from touching this metal plate and shorting things out. So don't just take one apart and throw that piece of plastic away. It has a purpose, and that purpose is important. Sometimes you'll get a pedal that somebody can't figure out why it don't work, and you'll open it up and that'll be gone. And you know pretty much immediately what the problem is. Oh, that one's being finicky. Let's get that back in there. Get our 4 screws just started. Are these a little more fitted to specific holes? There we go. Get that one in. There we are. Oh, I think I got both of those first two a little crooked. We'll see just how super we can make this chorus sound here in a minute. Hopefully. Oh, did I catch it? Oh. Wait. There it is. All right. There we go. That was good. Pull this one back out and make sure we get it straight. There we go. It's being a little more finicky, but it's going. It's just a little gummy. Make sure we got this one in good, because that's the only one that was being a little ignorant on me. Oh yeah. All right. So now I'm gonna grab a guitar, plug this dirty little pedal up, and be back in just a second. We'll see how she sounds. All right, so back. Got the super chorus plugged up. Got out the little Vox MV50, my little baby test amp here. These things are so handy. And I busted out what is essentially my workbench guitar. Little double humbucker telly that I spent some time tinkering with a while back. It's got a jack issue I've noticed since hooking it up, where suddenly the sound kind of cuts out a little bit. But overall, it's good enough for what we're doing today. So we've got this on. Let's put the effect there. We'll have it a little bit bright. Put the rate about halfway. Push the depth up a little. See what we get. Definitely chorusy. Back off that tone a little bit. Too much bright. Let's crank these up just a little bit, see how it works. See if it gets crazy for us where it's supposed to. It goes crazy, all right. One of the things I like about this, though, is even its dined setting, I mean, you could find a use for, like, you know, oops, stupid jack. Okay, so let's back the depth off a bit, pull the rate down kind of slow. Take that EQ to about 3 o'clock there. Kind of. I guess next week's project is a jack on this guitar. That'll be more fun. I don't remember the chords. Oh well. Yeah, I think the pedal works good. Right on. Looks like we got the pedal working. Turns out it wasn't anything bad. It was just a couple of poorly soldered connections and a little oxidation on the board. So hopefully that's all it took, and that's the best case scenario for opening any pedal, short of a dead battery or the wrong power supply. I'd like to thank everyone who took a few minutes to watch. I enjoy tearing stuff apart with you every week. If anybody has any ideas or something that'd be fun to tear up, let me know, and we'll dig in, see what we can find out. I've got amps everywhere down here, so pretty soon we're going to start messing with those. We'll just go from there, see what we feel like doing. Thanks for taking the time out of your day. Please give us a thumbs up if you don't mind. Click the subscribe button. We appreciate that. It means a lot to us and helps us grow this channel and keep it happening the way it has been over the last few weeks as we're trying to get it some life breathed into it. But that's it, and I appreciate everyone's time. Hope you have a great week. Take it easy.